What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today we're going to be talking about the current banner hero, Charlotte, what I think about her, and whether or not you should be pulling for her. So, I know recently we got those free 2 5-star heroes, and there's a good chance you may have gotten Charlotte because she already was in the game at the time. So, maybe you're watching this video because you want to know if she's good and where she's good, or you may be wondering whether you should pull for her. Let me go and find her. She is a knight, so she does have access to a lot of artifacts that are really strong, such as Hillock Lands and Aureus, which are probably two of the best artifacts for out there. And for 4-star artifacts, they're just really strong, especially on Charlotte. And they just, it just adds a lot to her. So her being a knight is already pretty good. As far as base stats, they're not the best. I just got to put it bluntly. 99 speed, that's pretty slow. You're not doing anything. Oh yeah, another artifact that she has for knights is the 5-star artifact that lets you counter Elver's Sword, which has to counter attack whenever one of your allies is attacked. So she does have a lot going for her as a knight. And she is one of the higher damage caliber knights in terms of how much damage output she has. But let's just read his skill. Okay, so she started with the second skill, but alright, first skill. It's pretty unique. So dual sword. Attacks with 2 swords. Increases attack of the caster for 2 turns if the enemy's health is above 50%. Or has a 50% chance to decrease defense of the enemy for 2 turns if the enemy's health is below 50. So, not bad. Actually, one of the better skill 1s in the game. There's not a lot of good skill 1s out there, but this one kind of has, a little bit of everything. So, you get that attack buff early on. Guaranteed if the enemy is above 50%. And then the other one is whenever they're close to dying, you do get that defense break. This is pretty good. Reading the skill, I was like, wow, she has a lot of potential, but everything else is just mediocre, with her stats and things like that. But first skill is solid. It's actually a really good first skill. It does kind of suck that sometimes when you just want to get the decreased defense, you don't, and then when you want to get the attack buff, you don't. So you just kind of have to manage that. But still, there's a lot packed into this first skill. So if you give her Elver's Sword and she counterattacks with this skill, and she's gonna get an attack buff, and then she's gonna be able to use this Vortex skill if you're using her for PvP. For PvE, also pretty good for Elver's Sword. Second skill attacks everyone, and it goes up to a grand 35% chance to stun. So it's not terrible, especially with the pretty low cooldown for an AoE attack, and 35% chance to stun, and then it's increased by 30% each time an enemy is stunned. So if there's a lot of monsters, that's kind of where Charlotte shines, because she can stun a lot of enemies, and she has a pretty good amount of AoE in her kit. She's now dizzy, so she's not going to be doing all the time. She's going to be doing AoE, but it's pretty consistent. And then the stun is just an added benefit. The only thing, it's if this had a 50% chance stun, I would say she would be way better, but it's still kind of low. Last but not least is her ultimate, Vortex. Man, this skill can actually do a lot of damage. I remember when I was in lower ranks of Arena, I used to see Charlotte a lot, and it used to be kind of like a cheese comp, because she gets pretty tanky, and then her AoE does a lot of damage. Oof. Especially when you have the 5 focus. And the thing about it, she doesn't lose her focus. I was doing the storyline too. You don't lose your focus, so once you get it, this ultimate just always becomes a lot of damage. So it's pretty nice, and it's on a very low cooldown. It's I believe it's yeah, it's only 3 turns. So that's really solid. That's a really good ultimate. So what do I think about her overall? Okay, so animations, y'all, this is one of the earlier characters. Her animations aren't insane, but she's chilling. I like the swords on the side. As far as kit, if she was a little bit faster, she would actually be really good for PvP. But because she has such a low base speed, it makes it so you don't get to pop off with her until way later. Because she does get a while to get started, because you need that focus. You need those 5 stacks of focus for this to actually do good damage. So the AI will normally go for the second skill first, and start trying to get focused until you can do this third skill where you're actually doing a lot of damage. But that does take a while to build up. So she's too slow. It's similar to Tamarine, where she's kind of slow for Arena, where you would need Iseria to be able to have that combo properly. But Charlotte just doesn't have a lot. Like, besides that, like, without the damage, she doesn't do much. Also, she does self-buff. She does have an unreliable decreased defense. And she has an AoE potential stun, but it's just not consistent enough for her to be good at PvP. Now, for PvE, she actually does have a lot of uses, and I actually think she's pretty good for certain concepts of PvE. So for Golem, she's actually pretty strong because early on you get an attack buff, you're able to do a lot. With the AoE, since the small golems are there, you can hit 3 enemies and you have a chance to stun the crystals and things like that. So you're able to get some benefit out of the second skill, and it also makes it so you don't really have to bring heal block because you can stun that crystal if you get lucky enough. And you also have the added benefit that because she's a knight, she can add that Aureus if you need the Aureus, or she can use that Elric sword or Hillag Lance to try to get those extra turns and try to get more out of her. Last but not least, the Vortex skill does a lot of damage AoE. So both these skills do. So she actually has potential in Asimec Hunt. I don't think she's the best qualified for Asimec Hunt, but she's not bad for Asimec Hunt. Vildred is great, obviously one of the best units for that because he has consistent AoE. She still has, like, when she uses this skill, there's still going to be like 1 or 2 turns of lag before she gets her next set of rotation of AoE. Because she'll do this one, this will be in a 3-turn cooldown, then this will be in a 2-turn cooldown, and then you have to wait the turn with this one, and then 2 turns without having an AoE. It might be a little too much, but if you have a really fast clear, then it might work for you. But definitely Golem is the friend uses. The other place where she does shine is in Abyss. Because in Abyss, there are a lot of really hard stages that have a lot of enemies that you have to kill fast. That is really tilting, and it was very, very hard to clear those stages when I was doing them because I didn't have good AoE. So I had to kind of rely on my Bellona and like wheedle them down and hope I could one-shot them and like have to struggle through that and be able to do that. Whereas if you have Charlotte and you're controlling her manually, you can save these AoE skills and you can even burn her AoE skill. So you're able to basically get it right after you do this. You get very short cooldown. I believe it just resets it. Yeah. So you can do it again the next turn. So she has a lot of AoE potential if you have souls and you're doing Abyss. So that's where she shines, is because of that AoE potential. And the fact that she's at night makes it so like she can be a pseudo tank while still doing a lot of damage, because her scaling is actually really, really good. Like you can build her pretty tanky and she'll do damage. But that does bring me to my final point. Should you summon for her? So if you have her or if you're trying to summon for her, I would honestly say to wait. There are a lot of units that are going to be coming up, especially next week with the no, not next week, 2 weeks from now, or even next week, I do believe. I know at the end of July they have a massive update, and it's probably going to be an event limited banner. But I would say for that event limited banner, because she's nothing special. Like, she's just kind of like, she's nice. If you started the game with her early, she's really, really good. If you're a new player, really, really good unit. She can be your farmer. She can do a lot of Abyss clear. So pretty solid if you started the game with her. But the later you get in the game, the more she starts to fall off. So it's kind of lackluster. If she had better base stats, just better something, she definitely would be a top tier contender. But right now, she's just kind of like a niche unit that has very strong AoE skills that can over time like do a lot of damage AoE consistently, like over and over again. But right now, there's no content where you really need that as much besides just Abyss. And once you clear those Abyss stages, it's like you're done. So I would honestly wait, guys. I would not spend my summons on her. I'm going to repeat that. Please don't spend your summons on her unless you really, really like her. Like, if you really think you're going to use her, I recommend you to. But there are a lot better units out there that can do her job and have more variety and places they can be used in. But that is all I got for you guys today. I hope to see y'all next time. Peace.